A billionaire suspects his company is being corrupted from the inside, so he goes undercover as a rideshare driver to learn the truth. But everything changes when he falls for a woman who unknowingly works for him and is secretly preparing evidence that will destroy his company and expose his lies. Now he must face the impossible question: can he save his company without losing the only person who's ever seen the real him? The boardroom falls silent as he stares at the spreadsheet on the screen. Revenue up 32%, user growth exceeding projections. His new rideshare app is crushing the competition. Everyone around the mahogany table is smiling, nodding, performing their carefully choreographed approval. But something's wrong. He can feel it the way you feel a storm coming, that electric tension in the air that makes your skin prickle. He built this empire from a cramped studio apartment and 70-hour work weeks, turned lines of code into a billion-dollar company that's supposed to revolutionize how people move through cities. Arrive, they call it. Simple, clean, perfect. Except perfect things don't need this many lawyers in the room. Perfect things don't require nervous glances between executives when he asks direct questions. Perfect things don't make his chief operating officer shift in his seat and check his phone every 30 seconds like he's expecting bad news. The presentation ends with applause. Manufactured. Hollow. The same people who once challenged him, who argued and pushed back and made the company better, now just smile and agree. Success has surrounded him with mirrors that only show him what he wants to see, and he's tired of his own reflection. After the meeting, he stands alone at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office, 53 stories above a city that looks like a circuit board from up here. Neat lines of light, organized chaos, millions of people reduced to predictable patterns. His phone buzzes. Another message from his ex, the one who dated him for 6 months before selling their story to a tabloid. Turns out, loving a billionaire and loving his money are two very different things. He's learned that lesson the expensive way. His chief operating officer appears in the doorway, all veneers and tailored suits. The man who's supposed to be his right hand, his trusted partner in building something that matters. But there's something in his eyes lately, something calculating that wasn't there before. Great presentation today. The board's thrilled. Are they? Or are they just telling me what I want to hear? A pause. Too long. Of course they're thrilled. Look at the numbers. I am looking at the numbers. I'm also looking at the driver complaint rate. It's up 18%, but somehow that didn't make it into your presentation. Another pause. This one, even longer. Minor growing pains. Nothing we can't handle. But that's exactly what concerns him. Nothing we can't handle. Translation? Nothing you need to worry your pretty billionaire head about. Trust us. Stay in your ivory tower while we manage the real work. Except he didn't build this company by trusting blindly, and he's not about to start now. That night, he makes a decision that will change everything. He rents a modest apartment in a neighborhood his security team hates. Buys a used Toyota with 130,000 miles and a suspicious rattle. Creates a new account in his own app under the name Alex Chen, close enough to his real name that he won't forget to respond, different enough that no one will connect the dots. The verification process takes 10 minutes. No background check flags him as the CEO who built the system. He's just another driver now, another anonymous face behind a windshield, invisible in plain sight. His first night on the road feels like learning to breathe underwater. Everything's familiar but wrong. He knows the algorithm that matches drivers with passengers because he designed it. He understands the surge pricing and the heat maps and the efficiency protocols. But sitting in this car, waiting for a ping, watching the city from street level instead of 53 floors up, he realizes how little he actually knows about the product he created. The first 2 nights are unremarkable. He picks up tired office workers, drunk college students, tourists who can't pronounce street names. They treat him like furniture. Forgettable, functional. He listens to them complain about their days, their bosses, their relationships. One passenger spends 15 minutes explaining how rideshare apps are ruining the taxi industry while completely oblivious to who's driving. It's humbling and infuriating and oddly liberating all at once. Then, on the third night, he gets a ping from a community center in a neighborhood his venture capitalist friends would never visit. The passenger rating is perfect, 5 stars across hundreds of rides. He accepts and drives 12 minutes through streets that haven't seen urban renewal money, past bodegas with security gates and murals painted by artists who'll never see a gallery. She's waiting outside with a yoga mat and a canvas bag that's seen better days. Early 30s, dark hair pulled back, wearing clothes that are clean but worn in that specific way that means someone's stretching every dollar. She apologizes immediately for the yoga mat, asks if it's okay to put it in the back seat, treats him like a human being instead of a service. It catches him off guard. "Long day?" he asks, pulling into traffic. "Good day, actually. Just finished teaching a free class for kids in the neighborhood. Most of them can't afford a gym membership, so we do what we can at the community center." Her voice has this quality, genuine warmth without performance, the kind of authentic kindness that's become extinct in his usual circles. She asks where he's from, how long he's been driving, if he likes it. Real questions. Interested. Not killing time, but actually curious about his life, his thoughts, his experience. When's the last time anyone asked him anything that wasn't about market share or shareholder value? He finds himself answering honestly, or as honestly as he can without revealing everything. Tells her he used to work in tech, got burned out, needed to do something real for a while. It's not entirely a lie. She nods like she understands completely. "I work in corporate communications," she says. "Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in PowerPoints and mission statements that don't mean anything. Everyone's so busy performing their jobs that no one's actually doing them anymore, you know?" He knows. God, he knows. She tells him about her dreams while they sit in traffic. Wants to start a nonprofit for youth empowerment, create programs that actually help kids instead of just looking good in annual reports. Talks about her student debt, $38,000 still hanging over her head 6 years after graduation. Mentions a recent breakup, guy who couldn't handle that she was more ambitious than he was, who needed her to be smaller so he could feel bigger. The 15-minute ride turns into 25 because he takes the scenic route without really meaning to, and when they arrive at her apartment building, modest, clean, the kind of place where everyone knows their neighbors, she tips him 20% and tells him he's a great listener. "Most drivers just want me to shut up so they can focus on the GPS," she laughs. "You actually care. That's rare." After she leaves, he sits in his car for 10 minutes, staring at the rating she left. 5 stars. 1-sentence review. Felt like talking to a friend. He picks her up again 4 nights later. Same community center, different time. She recognizes him, lights up, asks if she can request him specifically next time. Of course, he says. Please do. She talks about her week, about a presentation she gave at work that went well, about her concerns that the company she works for is losing its way. She doesn't name the company, doesn't need to. He already knows. "I used to believe in the mission," she says quietly. "Used to think we were building something that mattered. But lately I'm seeing things that don't add up, complaints that disappear, employees who ask questions and suddenly aren't employed anymore, money going places it shouldn't go." His hands tighten on the steering wheel. "What kind of things?" She hesitates. Trust is a fragile thing, but something about him makes her continue. "Driver exploitation, hidden fees. The CEO has no idea, I think, or maybe he doesn't care. Hard to tell from where I'm sitting." The CEO? She's talking about him, the version of him that exists in her mind. Distant, disconnected, possibly corrupt. He wants to defend himself, explain that he does care, that he built this company to help people. But how can he when he's sitting here in disguise, proving her point about disconnection? Over the next 2 weeks, she becomes his regular passenger. 3 rides, then 5, then 8. He learns her schedule, starts positioning himself near her likely pickup spots. Not stalking, he tells himself, just strategic availability. They talk about everything, politics and philosophy and bad movies and childhood dreams. She tells him about growing up with immigrant parents who worked 3 jobs so she could go to college. He tells her about building his first computer from scavenged parts. leaving out the part where that computer became the prototype for a revolutionary algorithm. She makes him laugh. Actually laugh, not the polite chuckle he gives investors. She challenges his ideas, argues when she disagrees, treats him like an equal. No one's treated him like an equal in years. Everyone either worships him or wants something from him. She just wants conversation. He's falling for her. The realization hits him one night while she's talking about her students at the community center, how one kid finally nailed a difficult pose after months of trying, and her face just glows with pride for someone else's achievement. He's falling for this woman who sees him, really sees him, without seeing anything about his net worth or his power or his influence. She sees Alex, the driver who listens, not Alexander Chen, the billionaire who everyone performs for. The problem is compounding like interest on a loan he can't repay. She works at his company. She's discovered corruption he didn't know existed. She's planning to do something brave and possibly career-ending about it, and he's lying to her every single time they speak. On their 12th ride together, she asks if he wants to grab coffee sometime. Not as passenger and driver, just as two people who've somehow become friends in the strange, intimate space of a car moving through a city at night. "I'd like that," he says, and means it more than he's meant anything in months. "Good," she smiles. "Because I need to tell someone what I'm about to do, and for some reason I trust you." What she's about to do, she explains, is report everything she's discovered directly to the CEO. She's bypassing the chain of command, bypassing his chief operating officer and the entire executive team. She's compiled evidence, documented patterns, built a case that could destroy careers and derail the company's upcoming public offering. She's risking everything because she believes, still believes, despite everything, that the CEO deserves to know the truth. "What if he doesn't care?" he asks quietly. "Then I'll know I work for the wrong company. But I have to believe that someone who built something from nothing, who created something meant to help people, still has a conscience somewhere under all that money." She's betting her career on his conscience, the conscience of a man she doesn't know she's sitting next to. The CEO she's about to confront is the driver she's falling for. And he has no idea how to tell her without destroying everything. The investigation, the trust, the fragile, beautiful thing growing between them in the front seat of a Toyota with a suspicious rattle. That night, after dropping her off, after watching her walk into her building with her yoga mat and her canvas bag and her dangerous, beautiful integrity, he sits in his car and realizes the trap he's built for himself. He wanted truth. He went looking for reality. And now he's drowning in it. Because the woman he's falling for is about to walk into his boardroom and blow up his world. And when she does, she'll discover that the one person she trusted, the one genuine connection in her performed corporate existence, was just another lie. How do you tell someone the truth when the truth will make them hate you? And what do you do when the person you love is the only one brave enough to save you from yourself? The thing about deception is that it starts small, almost innocent, and then it grows roots that strangle everything they touch. He's in too deep now, and he knows it. Every conversation with her is another brick in a wall he's building between who he is and who she thinks he is. Every laugh they share, every moment of genuine connection is tainted by the lie sitting between them like a third passenger in the back seat. But here's what terrifies him most. He doesn't want to stop. Because for the first time in years, someone is seeing him. Not his bank account, not his influence, just him. And it feels like breathing after years of suffocation. She requests him again 3 days later, then 2 days after that, then almost daily. Their conversations deepen in that specific way that happens when two people realize they're not just killing time, they're building something. She tells him about her father, who died when she was 19, worked himself into an early grave trying to give his family a better life. He tells her about his mother, leaves out the part where he bought her a house in Tuscany. She talks about feeling invisible in corporate meetings, like her voice gets absorbed by the walls before it reaches anyone's ears. He knows exactly what she means, even though his version of invisible involves too much attention, all of it hollow. One night, stuck in gridlock on the interstate, she turns to him with this look, half curiosity, half concern, and asks why someone as intelligent as him is driving for a rideshare app. I mean, you could be doing anything. You talk like someone who's built things, who understands systems and strategy. Why this? He could deflect, should deflect. Instead, something honest escapes. Maybe I needed to remember what it feels like to be part of the world instead of above it. Maybe I was tired of people telling me what they thought I wanted to hear instead of what I needed to know. She's quiet for a long moment, processing. Then she nods slowly. That's the most honest thing anyone said to me in months. Everyone's so busy managing perceptions, curating their image. You're just real. The irony tastes like copper in his mouth. But while he's falling deeper into this beautiful, terrible thing with her, his company is rotting from the inside. He knows because he's been listening, not just to her, but to dozens of other passengers. Drivers who pick him up on his off nights, not knowing he owns the platform they're complaining about. Office workers who trash talk Arrive's toxic culture. Even one of his own vice presidents who, 3 drinks in, admits to a stranger driver that the executive team is cooking the books to inflate metrics before the IPO. The picture emerging is ugly. His chief operating officer has created a shadow empire within the company, exploiting drivers through hidden fees buried in terms of service that would take a lawyer to decode, intimidating employees who raise concerns, systematically removing anyone with enough integrity to be dangerous. The man he trusted to build this company alongside him has turned it into exactly the kind of predatory operation they promised they'd never become. And she knows. She's seen it all. She's been documenting it for weeks. On a Thursday night, their 15th ride together, though he stopped pretending these meetings are coincidental, she tells him everything. They're parked outside her apartment building, engine idling, and she just opens up like a dam breaking. She's found evidence of systematic fraud, driver complaints deleted from databases, harassment claims against executives buried under NDAs bought with company money, a whole network of corruption spreading through departments like cancer, through tissue. I have names, dates, transactions. I have emails where they discuss how to keep this from reaching the CEO. They talk about him like he's a figurehead, someone to manage and manipulate, like he's too disconnected to notice or too compromised to care. Is he? The question sits in his chest like a stone. Has he become exactly what they assume he is, a billionaire too insulated by wealth and power to see what's happening in his own company? What are you going to do? He asks, though he already knows. She's told him pieces over the past week, testing his reaction, gauging whether he'll try to talk her out of it. I'm going directly to Alexander Chen, next week. I've scheduled it through his executive assistant. Told her it's urgent and confidential. I'm bypassing everyone, taking this straight to the top. She laughs, but there's fear underneath. I'll probably get fired, probably get blacklisted. But what's the alternative? Stay silent and become part of the problem? She's braver than anyone in his boardroom, braver than he's been in years. And she has no idea that the CEO she's preparing to confront is sitting 18 inches away, hands gripping a steering wheel, heart hammering against his ribs. What if? He starts, then stops. How does he ask this without revealing everything? What if the CEO already knows? What if he's part of it? Her face hardens. Then I'll know this company isn't worth saving. But I don't think that's true. I've read every interview he's ever given, studied every decision he's made public. The Alexander Chen who built this company from nothing believed in something. Maybe he's lost his way. Maybe success corrupted him. But somewhere under all that wealth, I have to believe there's still a person who cares about doing the right thing. She believes in him, in a version of him that might not exist anymore. And he's about to shatter that belief in the cruelest possible way. But then she does something that makes everything infinitely worse. She reaches over and squeezes his hand, just for a second, warm, real. Thank you for listening to all this, for not thinking I'm crazy or naive. You've become, I don't know, important to me. Is that weird to say to your driver? No, he manages. Not weird. Good. Because after I do this thing, after I either save my company or destroy my career, I'd like to take you to dinner. As a thank you. Or maybe as something else. She's asking him on a date. This woman who's about to walk into his world and explode it is asking Alex, the driver, to dinner. And every cell in his body is screaming to tell her the truth right now, immediately, before this gets any worse. But the words stick in his throat because telling her means losing her, and he's not ready for that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. That night, alone in his rented apartment that smells like someone else's life, he sits at the kitchen table and does something he swore he wouldn't do. He pulls up the company's internal systems, the ones only he has full access to, and confirms everything she's told him. It's all there. Worse than she knows. The fraud goes deeper, touches more people. His chief operating officer has been building this corrupt infrastructure for at least 2 years, maybe longer. How did he miss this? How did the person who built a billion-dollar company from code and determination become so blind to what was happening under his own roof? He knows how. Success is the anesthetic. It numbs you to reality, surrounds you with comfort and confirmation until you forget what struggle feels like, what injustice looks like, what courage costs. He's been asleep at the wheel of his own life, and she's the alarm clock finally waking him up. But here's the really twisted part. He can't act on this information without revealing how he got it. Can't fire his COO without explaining why. Can't fix the corruption without admitting he's been driving around his own city in disguise, lying to his employees, falling for someone under false pretenses. The evidence he needs exists in her report, the one she's risking everything to deliver. He needs her, but confronting this truth means she'll discover his deception. 3 nights before her scheduled meeting with himself, catastrophe strikes. She calls him at 11 p.m., voice shaking. Not through the app, through his personal number, which she asked for last week, which he gave her like an idiot, like someone who wasn't already drowning in his own lies. Can you come get me? I know it's late. I know this isn't how the app works, but I need someone I trust. He's in the car in 90 seconds, breaking every speed limit to reach her. She's outside a bar in the financial district, mascara smeared, professional armor cracked. She gets in the car and just brakes. Her meeting got moved up tomorrow, 9 a.m. And tonight, at a company happy hour she felt obligated to attend. The COO cornered her, told her he knew what she was planning, told her she was making a mistake that would destroy her career. Didn't threaten her explicitly. Men like that never do. They're too smart for explicit threats. But the message was clear. Back down or be destroyed. He knew, she whispers. He knew exactly what I was planning to tell the CEO, which means someone in the executive assistant's office is feeding him information, which means the corruption goes even higher than I thought. She's terrified, genuinely afraid, and she's looking at him, at Alex the driver, the one person in her life she thinks she can trust, for reassurance, for guidance, for anything that will make this bearable. You could walk away, he says quietly. Report it anonymously. Protect yourself. And let them win? Let them turn this company into everything it promised not to be? She shakes her head. No. I'm going in tomorrow. I'm telling Alexander Chen everything, and then whatever happens, happens. She's going to war. Against his COO, against corruption in his company, and she's doing it because she believes in a version of him that he's not sure he deserves. They sit in his car outside her apartment for 2 hours. She cries. He holds her hand. She talks about her father again, about how he taught her that integrity isn't convenient, that doing the right thing usually costs something, and the cost is how you know it matters. She talks about being scared, about the possibility of losing everything, about wondering if she's being brave or just stupid. You're the bravest person I know, he tells her, and it's the truest thing he's said in weeks. She kisses him. Right there in the front seat of a Toyota with 130,000 miles. Kisses him like he's her anchor, like he's the one solid thing in a world that's tilting sideways. And he kisses her back even though he knows that this is a betrayal. That every second of this intimacy is built on a foundation of lies that's about to collapse. When she finally goes inside, she turns back at her building's door. Tomorrow, after the meeting, let's have that dinner. Let's celebrate me either saving my company or being unemployed. Either way, I want to be with you." He watches her disappear into the building. Then he sits in his car in the dark and makes a decision that will change everything. He calls an emergency board meeting for tomorrow, same time as her appointment with him. He tells his assistant to make sure everyone is there. Every board member, every executive, the lawyers, everyone. He's going to confront this. All of it. The corruption, the fraud, the toxic culture that's metastasized while he was too disconnected to notice. But there's a problem. A massive, catastrophic problem that's been growing this entire time. She left something in his car, her work laptop. Must have slid out of her bag when she was crying, when everything was chaos and emotion. He should return it immediately, should text her, drive back, hand it over. But he doesn't. Because he's weak, because he's desperate, because he needs to know what she really thinks, what her report actually says, what evidence she has. He opens it. Her password is her father's birthday. She mentioned it once in passing, said she uses it for everything to keep his memory close. The fact that he knows this, that he's using this intimate detail to violate her privacy, makes him feel sick. But he opens the laptop anyway. Her report is comprehensive, devastating. Names, dates, transactions, emails, recordings. She has enough evidence to destroy careers, maybe send people to prison. It's brilliant investigative work, thorough and unassailable. His COO is finished. Several VPs are finished. The company's reputation will take years to recover. But then he sees another folder, personal journal. He shouldn't open it. Knows he shouldn't. This is a line he can't uncross. But his hand moves anyway, clicks anyway, and suddenly he's reading her private thoughts, her unfiltered fears and hopes, and, oh God, there's an entry from 3 days ago, about him, about Alex the driver. She writes about falling for someone at the worst possible time, about how he makes her feel seen and valued and real in a way no one else has, about how he represents everything genuine that her corporate world lacks, about how he could never understand what it's like to work at Arrive, to fight against the machine, to serve a billionaire who's completely disconnected from the damage his company does to people like her, like him, like everyone who isn't insulated by wealth. She loves Alex the driver. She's falling for him, for the man he is in that car. But she despises Alexander Chen, sees him as the villain of her story, the disconnected billionaire who let his company become corrupt, who cares more about profits than people, who needs employees like her to save him from his own moral bankruptcy. The woman he loves thinks he's two different people, and she only loves one of them, the fake one, the lie. He closes the laptop feeling like he's been gutted, sits there in his car as the clock ticks past midnight, past 1 a.m., knowing that in less than 8 hours both versions of himself are about to collide in a boardroom. She'll walk in expecting to confront a distant CEO. Instead, she'll discover that the CEO is the man she kissed 3 hours ago, the man she trusted, the man who's been lying to her since the moment they met. There's no version of tomorrow where he doesn't lose her. He can see that now with perfect clarity. If he reveals himself before the meeting, she'll feel manipulated, betrayed, used. If he lets her walk into that boardroom blind, the shock and humiliation will be unforgivable. Either way, the thing growing between them dies tomorrow, unless he doesn't show up, unless he lets someone else handle the meeting, deals with the corruption from behind the scenes, maintains the separation between Alex the driver and Alexander Chen, the CEO. He could keep both lives running in parallel. Keep seeing her as Alex while fixing his company as Alexander. She'd never have to know. But that's not courage. That's cowardice dressed up as protection. And she deserves better than that. Better than him. His phone buzzes. Text from her. "Thank you for tonight. For being you. For making me feel less alone. You're my good luck charm for tomorrow. I can do this because you believe I can." She thinks he believes in her. He does. But she has no idea what believing in her is about to cost him. The sun comes up on the day everything explodes. He hasn't slept. He's sitting in his real apartment, the penthouse he hasn't visited in 3 weeks, wearing a suit that costs more than most people's monthly rent, preparing to walk into a boardroom where his company's future, his reputation, and his heart are all about to be destroyed. His chief operating officer texts him at 7 a.m., casual, friendly, completely unaware that today is his last day. Looking forward to the board meeting. Have some exciting projections to share. The man has no idea what's coming. Neither does she. Neither does anyone. At 8:30, he's in the boardroom early, reviewing her report one final time. The evidence is irrefutable. His company has become everything he swore it wouldn't be, and the only person with the integrity to expose it is the woman whose heart he's about to break. At 8:55, board members start filing in, confused about the emergency meeting, wondering what's so urgent. His COO arrives looking confident, polished, completely in control. The man who's been stealing from drivers, silencing employees, corrupting the mission. He sits down across from him and smiles. So, what's this about? IPO jitters? Before he can answer, his assistant appears in the doorway. Mr. Chen, your 9 o'clock is here. Should I bring her in? His heart stops. She's early, or he's late. Time has become elastic, unreliable. The boardroom full of executives, the woman in the lobby who thinks she's meeting her CEO for the first time, the driver she kissed 12 hours ago who's actually that CEO, all of it's about to converge in a moment that will define everything. Give me a minute, he tells his assistant. But a minute for what? To prepare? To pray? To figure out how to tell the woman he loves that he's been lying to her since the moment they met? How do you explain that you disguised yourself and drove her around and listened to her dreams and fell for her while pretending to be someone you're not? How do you make that sound like anything other than manipulation? His COO leans forward, curious now. Who's the 9 o'clock? This is a closed board meeting. Someone who's going to tell you exactly what you've done to this company. Someone brave enough to speak truth while everyone else performed loyalty. Confusion flickers across his COO's face. Then recognition, then something darker. You don't mean, bring her in, he tells his assistant, and now there's no going back. In 60 seconds, she's going to walk through that door expecting to meet Alexander Chen for the first time. She'll see the boardroom full of people. She'll see his chief operating officer, and then she'll see him. Alex, her driver, her confidant, her good luck charm. Sitting at the head of the table in a $5,000 suit, revealed as the billionaire she's been complaining about for weeks. The door opens, their eyes meet, and the expression on her face, shock melting into confusion, melting into betrayal, is the worst thing he's ever seen. How do you save someone when you're the person they need saving from? The question hanging in the air between them is simple. Can trust survive the truth? She stands frozen in the doorway, her evidence folder clutched against her chest like armor that's already failed. Her eyes move from him to the boardroom full of executives to the chief operating officer whose face has gone pale, then back to him, to Alex. Except he's not Alex. He's never been Alex. And watching her realize this, watching the betrayal bloom across her face like ink in water, feels like dying in slow motion. Maya. His voice sounds foreign in this room, too intimate for the corporate space. He's broken the first rule. In front of everyone, he's revealed they know each other, that this isn't a stranger bringing evidence to her CEO. This is something far more complicated. She doesn't move, doesn't speak. The silence stretches until his chief operating officer breaks it, leaning forward with calculated confusion. I'm sorry, do you two know each other? Because Ms. Rodriguez scheduled this meeting to discuss alleged concerns about company operations, and if there's some prior relationship, shut up, Richard. The words come out harder than he intends, but the man has been lying to him for 2 years. He's earned harder. You know exactly why she's here. You knew yesterday when you cornered her at that bar. You knew last week when she scheduled this meeting. You've known for months that she was investigating the fraud you've built into this company. The boardroom erupts, questions flying, executives looking between each other, lawyers reaching for notepads. But he's not looking at them. He's looking at her, still standing in that doorway, still processing, still deciding whether to run or fight. Maya, please, come in. You came here to tell me the truth. So, Tell me. She finally moves, but the way she walks to the conference table, mechanical, distant, like she's controlling her body from somewhere far away, tells him everything. He's lost her. Maybe already lost her the moment he made the decision to go undercover. Maybe you can't build something real on a foundation of lies, no matter how good your intentions. But she doesn't run. She sits down, opens her folder, and in a voice that's steady despite everything, she begins to present her evidence. Names the executives involved in driver exploitation. Shows the deleted complaint files. Presents the harassment claims buried under NDAs. Lays out a pattern of corruption so systematic it could only exist if leadership was either complicit or catastrophically negligent. His chief operating officer tries to interrupt, to spin, to deflect. She cuts him down with data, with timestamps, with recorded conversations. She's magnificent, powerful, everything he fell for. Except now that power is partially aimed at him, and he deserves every bit of it. When she finishes, the boardroom is silent. His COO looks like a cornered animal. The other executives won't meet anyone's eyes. The lawyers are already calculating liability. Richard, you're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Legal will be in touch regarding criminal charges. He says it calmly, factually, like he's commenting on the weather. Then he turns to 3 of the VPs whose names appeared in her evidence. You two, all of you, out. The protests start, but he cuts through them with a tone that reminds everyone in this room exactly who built this company, who owns this company, who's been absent, but is very much present now. They leave, slowly, resentfully, but they leave. When the room clears to just board members, lawyers, and her, he stands, walks to the window, looks down at the city 53 floors below. I went undercover 6 weeks ago, became a driver for my own app because I suspected something was wrong, but everyone around me was telling me everything was perfect. I wanted the truth, unfiltered, real. He turns back to face them, face her. I picked up Maya on my 3rd night driving, kept picking her up, and somewhere between playing detective and falling for someone who actually saw me as human, I created a situation where the person brave enough to save my company is the person I've hurt most. One of the board members, an older woman who's been with him since the beginning, speaks carefully. Alexander, this is highly irregular. If Ms. Rodriguez pursues legal action regarding this deception, she should. He looks directly at Maya. You should. I manipulated you, used you, built a relationship under false pretenses. The fact that my feelings became real doesn't excuse the lie that started them. Maya's been quiet through all of this, letting him confess, watching him self-destruct. Now she speaks, and her voice is cold in a way he's never heard. You read my journal. Not a question, a statement. She knows. Of course she knows. She's brilliant. Meticulous. She would have noticed her laptop was accessed, checked the logs, seen what files were opened. Yes. So you know what I think of Alexander Chen, what I thought of him. The disconnected billionaire who let his company rot while counting his money. Yes. And you know what I thought of Alex. The driver who listened, who cared, who made me feel less alone. Yes. She stands, gathering her folder, her bag, her dignity. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to implement every recommendation in my report. Every single one. You're going to create an independent ethics committee with real power. You're going to compensate every driver who was exploited. You're going to make this company what it promised to be. I will. All of it. And I'm going to take a position as VP of Corporate Ethics, reporting directly to you, with full authority to investigate any concerns without interference. It'll be in my contract, along with a salary that reflects my value. He nods. Whatever you want. What I want? Her voice finally cracks, just slightly, just enough to show the hurt underneath the armor. What I want is for the man in that car to have been real. But he wasn't, was he? He was just another performance. Another billionaire playing dress-up to feel something authentic for 5 minutes. The words hit like physical blows, but before he can respond, she continues. But maybe that's not entirely fair. Maybe the man in the car was real. Maybe that was you without the armor, without the performance everyone expects. Maybe I got to see something true, even if the circumstances were lies. Is she giving him hope, or just processing out loud? I hurt you, he says quietly. And I'm sorry, truly. I'm sorry that my need for truth came at the cost of yours. I'm sorry that I made you question your judgment. I'm sorry that I took something genuine and contaminated it with deception. She's silent for a long moment. The boardroom full of executives watching this deeply personal moment makes it surreal, wrong. But maybe that's fitting. Nothing about this has been private. His whole life is public, performed, watched. I need time, she finally says. Time to figure out if I can separate Alex the driver from Alexander Chen, the CEO. Time to decide if what we had was real enough to survive the lie it was built on. Time to do my job without the complication of whatever this is between us. How much time? I don't know. Months, maybe longer, maybe forever. She moves toward the door, then stops, turns back. But you should know something. What you did, going undercover, actually listening, caring enough about your company to see it from the bottom up, that took courage. Misguided, problematic courage. But courage. The old Alexander Chen wouldn't have done that. So maybe there's hope for the new one. She leaves. The door closes behind her with quiet finality, and he's left standing in a boardroom with people who just witnessed his professional and personal life collide in spectacular fashion. The next 3 months are brutal. He implements every change she demanded, fires more corrupt executives, restructures the company, delays the IPO to fix the foundation, takes media interviews where he's vulnerable about his failures, about learning to lead better. It's humiliating and necessary, and the hardest thing he's ever done. She works in the office 3 floors below him. They pass each other in hallways, sit in different rooms during meetings, exist in the same space while maintaining careful distance. He sees her sometimes through conference room windows, commanding respect, building programs, doing exactly what she was born to do. And he aches. But then one Friday evening, his phone pings. Not a call through corporate channels. A ride request through the app. Pickup location, the community center where she teaches. Passenger name, Maya Rodriguez. Driver requested specifically, Alex Chen. Can forgiveness be earned? Can broken trust be rebuilt? Can 2 people who met as strangers become something real? After everything false, he gets in his car, the same Toyota, because he kept it. Kept driving one night a week like she suggested should be policy, and drives to her. She's waiting outside. Yoga mat, canvas bag, slight smile. She gets in. I hear the CEO of Arrive has a new policy. Executives have to drive for the app one day every month, experience the product, stay connected. Someone smart suggested it. Smart and stubborn and apparently willing to give second chances to billionaires who go undercover and fall in love with their passengers. His heart stops. Is this? I don't know what this is yet, but I know that the man in this car showed me something real, even if he lied about everything else. And I know that the CEO who just spent 3 months burning his company down to rebuild it better proved that he can actually change. So maybe we figure out what comes next. Together. Honestly this time. He pulls into traffic, and for the first time in months, the weight lifts. She talks about her students, about the nonprofit they're launching together. The company's funding it fully now. About changes she's seeing. About hope. And he listens, really listens, the way Alex the driver always did. Because maybe that's who he always was underneath. Maybe she helped him find that. Maybe they saved each other. The question isn't whether love can survive deception. The question is whether people can become who they need to be for each other, and whether second chances, earned through genuine change, can build something even stronger than what came before. Tell me in the comments, do you believe in second chances? Have you ever discovered someone wasn't who you thought they were? And where are you watching from? Drop your city below. I love knowing where this story is reaching.